This election, when it comes to the economy, is between a return to, in my view, the snake oil of trickle-down economics, or building on what has been proven to work.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hillary Clinton.
When I talk to people who are sympathetic with your point of view about what's your critique of Hillary Clinton's economic plan, what they say is too cautious, doesn't really go for it. Given the extended stagnation, isn't this a time to flip over the table and be aggressive across a wide range of fronts, more aggressive than you've been?
I think I've been really aggressive, and on Super Tuesday, more people voted for me than anybody else running on either side, and so somehow my message is communicating with people who are really thinking about what they want to vote for, what they want to see in their next president. I do think that we've got to set some big goals. I want us to deploy 500 million more solar panels by the end of my first term and enough clean energy to power every home by the end of my second term. Those are big goals, and I think we can get there. And when we get there, we will put a lot of people to work. I want to invest far more in infrastructure.
But that gets to the point that I was raising. Larry Summers, who served your husband's administration, served President Obama, he has called for infrastructure investments twice as large as you've proposed and said when money is so cheap, it is a no-brainer for a government to borrow a lot more money and spend on infrastructure. Why not go as far as he's talked about?
Well, I've gone as far as I think the political equation will sustain. I agree.
So that's not a substantive thing.
No,
that is a political calculation.
Well, it has to be both. I want to propose things I can get done. I don't want to make promises I can't keep. Look, I was in favor of a much bigger stimulus package. I was in favor with quantitative easing of figuring out how to make some investments in infrastructure. What I'm proposing is on top of what the Congress finally got around to passing. Look how long it took them to pass the highway bill.
Another example, Neil Kashkari, the president of the Minneapolis Fed, said, you know what? We should break up the big banks. That's what Bernie Sanders has called for. If a statewide Republican candidate in California, former Goldman Sachs, thinks that's a good idea, why don't you?
I haven't said that it wasn't a good idea. I'm on record, John, as saying that we now have the tools under Dodd-Frank, tools that did not exist prior to the passage.
Are you proposing, like Sanders, to break up the big banks?
I am proposing we follow the law. We have a process under Dodd-Frank. If any
You're talking about the wind-down process?
Yes, if any bank poses a systemic risk, it can be broken up.
But Sanders wants to do it preemptively.
Well, but we have a law. You know what? We are a nation of laws. We have passed a law which sets forth a process. Now, if you want to claim you can do it without following the law, that seems pretty radical to me. But what I have said is I would support breaking up any bank that posed a systemic risk to the economy. And we have a process now in place, thanks to Dodd-Frank, thanks to President Obama. We've got the tools. I say that all the time because, my opponent acts like he's going to create this. We passed a law, and the law gave us the tools. And if we meet the criteria, we should act, and I'm committed to acting.
As you know, he campaigns on the idea of a political revolution. Is it your view that a political revolution is not necessary or not possible?
Look, I'm going to let him run his campaign. I'm talking about what I stand for, what I want to do.
But from your point of view?
Well, but from my point of view, I've laid out my plans and my policies. I've talked about the kind of bold proposals that I have put forward. I've laid out a lot of very specific plans because I want to be held accountable. When you run for president, and we're seeing it very much on the other side, people make all these claims. And it's hard for voters to really evaluate. How do they decide? Is this person, being smart? Are they just over-promising? Are they way out in left field or right field? Who knows? That's why I've tried to say, look, here's what I will do. Here's how I will do it. Here's how much it will cost. I think that's pretty revolutionary because I want us to get back to having elections that are about agendas and asking voters not just to vote for a candidate, but to vote for an agenda. I think that will strengthen my hand in dealing with the Congress.
Secretary Clinton, thanks so much.
Thank you. Good to talk to you.
Hey YouTube fans, I'm Landon Dowdy from CNBC. Thanks so much for checking out our channel. Here you'll find videos packed with all the info that you need to be smarter about your finances. Be sure and subscribe by clicking right here and click on all the videos around me to see CNBC's original series Young Money, Tech Bet, Kramer's Mad Money, and all the latest from CNBC.